Ricky Nelson was born Eric Hilliard Nelson on May 8, 1940, in Teaneck, New Jersey. His parents were Ozzie and Harriet Nelson, who were both famous entertainers. Because of this, Ricky grew up surrounded by show business from the very beginning. When he was young, he appeared on a popular radio show and later a TV show called The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. This show was about the Nelson family's everyday life, and millions of American families watched it during the 1950s and early 1960s. As Ricky grew up on television in front of all those viewers, people loved him because he was charming, good-looking, and naturally talented. Unlike many other kids who acted on TV shows, Ricky managed to do more than just be known as a family sitcom star. He became a hugely successful music star too. Back then, many older people thought rock and roll music was bad, but Ricky Nelson became one of the most respected and long-lasting rock and roll singers. He recorded his very first song, I'm Walkin', in 1957. It was a cover of a song by Fats Domino, and it quickly became a huge hit. This first song didn't just start his music career, it also made him a teen idol that young people adored. From the late 1950s through the 1960s, Ricky Nelson kept making hit songs one after another. Some of his biggest hits were Hello Mary Lou, Travelin' Man, Poor Little Fool, Lonesome Town, and It's Late. His voice was smooth and pretty, and his clean-cut appearance helped make rock music seem more acceptable to regular people. This earned him tons of loyal fans. He was one of the first teen stars to regularly appear on national TV, bringing rock music into millions of American living rooms. This was something that would later happen with groups like the Beatles. By the time he was 21 years old, he had already sold millions of records and was one of the top-selling male singers of his time. But Ricky Nelson's career wasn't always easy. In the mid-1960s, people's taste in music started changing, and Nelson found it harder to stay at the top of the music charts. Instead of just following what was popular, he decided to change his style and grow as an artist. He started making a more mature country rock sound. This led him to create the Stone Canyon Band, a group that helped create the country rock style of music that bands like the Eagles would later make famous. In 1972, he released a thoughtful song called Garden Party, which became a massive comeback hit. The song was inspired by a concert he played at Madison Square Garden where the audience only wanted to hear his old songs, which disappointed him. The song became a defiant message about staying true to yourself as an artist. It sent a powerful message: you can't please everyone, so you've got to please yourself. Besides being an incredibly successful recording artist, Ricky Nelson also made a big mark in movies and television, showing that he was talented as both an actor and a singer. His journey on screen started in 1952 with a fun family comedy called Here Come the Nelsons, a movie that took advantage of his famous family's popularity. Just 1 year later, Nelson had a small but memorable part in The Story of Three Loves from 1953, a movie made by MGM and directed by the legendary Vincente Minnelli. In this film, Nelson played a younger version of Farley Granger's character, showing that even early on, he was good at bringing characters to life on the big screen. As Nelson became more popular through his music and the hit TV show The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet, major Hollywood directors started noticing his talents. One of the biggest moments in his movie career happened in 1959 when the famous director Howard Hawks chose him to play a gunslinger in the classic Western movie Rio Bravo. He starred alongside huge stars like John Wayne and Dean Martin. Nelson's role brought fresh energy to the film, and Hawks himself said that Nelson's magnetic presence was a key reason the movie did so well at the box office. Nelson kept building his acting career by working with other established stars. In 1960, he co-starred with the charismatic Jack Lemmon in The Wackiest Ship in the Army, a funny war movie that became popular enough to inspire a TV series, though Nelson himself didn't play his role again for the TV version. Always eager to try different kinds of roles, he made guest appearances on shows like General Electric Theater, where his episode called The Wish Book showed his acting skills beyond just his music fame. In 1965, Nelson took the main role in Love and Kisses, a romantic comedy that was a special family project written and directed by his father, Ozzie Nelson. The film also featured Jack Kelly, and it let Ricky combine his acting skills with his charm and musical talents, creating a heartfelt and entertaining movie. Nelson's guest appearances on TV became a regular part of his career throughout the late 1960s and 1970s. He played the famous outlaw Jesse James in an episode of Hondo, appeared in the nostalgic western The Over-the-Hill Gang from 1969 alongside veterans Walter Brennan and Pat O'Brien, and continued to make appearances in popular series like McCloud, The The Streets of San Francisco, Owen Marshall, Counselor at Law, Petrocelli, and A Twist in the Tale. One especially memorable guest role was on The Hardy Boys' Nancy Drew Mysteries, where Nelson played the character Tony Eagle. The episode not only featured his acting but also highlighted his singing talents as he performed several of his well-known hits, delighting fans of both his music and acting work. Nelson's presence also graced the beloved show, The Love Boat, adding to his long list of diverse television roles. As his career moved into the 1980s, Nelson continued to take supporting roles in TV movies such as 3 on a Date and the teen comedy High School USA from 1983, proving that his lasting charisma and talent kept him in demand across many different entertainment platforms. Whether on the big screen or on TV, Ricky Nelson's acting career was a vibrant and dynamic part of his multifaceted artistic legacy. During his teenage years, Ricky Nelson became one of America's most beloved teen idols, capturing the hearts of millions with his clean-cut image, smooth voice, and boyish charm. With all that fame came intense attention from fans and the media, and it was no surprise that many young women were attracted to him. Ricky, like most teenagers, was eager to explore romantic relationships, and he dated a number of girls during these important years. However, even though he was popular and independent, Ricky's mother, Harriet Nelson, had a big influence over his personal life. Harriet wasn't just a guiding mother figure. She was also his co-star on the family's long-running television series, The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. She had strong beliefs about proper behavior, manners, and the importance of keeping a respectable public image, especially when you're in the Hollywood spotlight. Harriet didn't approve of many of the young women Ricky brought home or was seen with, often feeling that they didn't meet the standards she imagined for her son. Her concerns weren't only about class or proper behavior, but also about Ricky's career path. She believed his focus should stay firmly on building a lasting and respected career in music and acting rather than getting distracted by short-lived romances. Her protectiveness may have come from both a mother's instinct and her deep understanding of how fame could easily mess up a young star's life. Ricky, though he often respected his mother's wishes, felt the conflict between what he personally wanted and what was expected of him professionally. This tension was something that kept happening during his teenage years and early adulthood. Eventually, however, Ricky fell in love with a young woman who seemed to get Harriet's approval, Chris Harmon. The two were married in April 1963 in a highly publicized wedding that brought together two prominent American families. Chris was the daughter of Heisman Trophy-winning football star Tom Harmon and 1940s film actress Elise Knox. The Harmons were longtime friends of the Nelsons, and the marriage was seen as a natural and desirable match, two children of Hollywood royalty coming together in what many fans considered a fairy tale wedding. Both families shared a deep connection through entertainment and public life, and this marriage in many ways represented a continuation of their legacies. Ricky and Chris went on to have 4 children together. Their firstborn, Tracy Christine Nelson, followed in her father's footsteps and became an actress, making a name for herself with roles in television and film, including the series Father Dowling Mysteries. Later, Chris gave birth to twin sons, Gunnar Eric Nelson and Matthew Gray Nelson, who inherited their father's musical talent and charisma. In the early 1990s, the twins achieved commercial success with their rock band Nelson, which became the first family act in history to have 3 generations of hitmakers. Their hit song, Can't Live Without Your Love and Affection, topped the Billboard charts in 1990. The couple's youngest child, Sam Hilliard Nelson, named in honor of Ricky's father, Ozzie Nelson, whose middle name was Hilliard, also found his way into the arts, though he largely stayed out of the limelight compared to his siblings. Despite the outward appearance of a perfect family, Ricky and Chris's marriage faced growing challenges. As the years went by, the problems began to get worse following the birth of their last child. Differences in lifestyle, personal growth, and emotional distance began to widen the gap between them. Ricky's touring schedule and desire to revive his music career often kept him on the road, while Chris reportedly struggled with the responsibilities and pressures of family life. There were also rumors of cheating and growing emotional disconnects. What once appeared to be a glamorous union between two public figures gradually fell apart in private under the weight of personal issues and conflicting priorities. The couple's relationship got worse throughout the late 1970s and early 1980s, leading to separation and eventually to a long and painful legal battle over custody, finances, and public image. Their divorce was finalized in December 1982, marking the end of a nearly 2-decade-long marriage. Though the legal proceedings were emotionally exhausting for both Ricky and Chris, they each remained devoted to their children, trying to maintain a sense of stability for them despite the family upheaval. Ricky, in particular, was deeply affected by the collapse of the marriage, and it influenced some of the sadder themes in his later music. For decades, fans of Ricky Nelson, teen idol, rock and roll pioneer, and television star, have wondered about the exact circumstances surrounding his tragic and untimely death. While some things were known early on, many key questions remained. Was it really a mechanical failure that caused the plane crash that killed him? Was there something more sinister behind the events of that fateful flight on December 31, 1985? Over the years, the mystery surrounding Nelson's death became a subject of intense fascination and sorrowful curiosity. Now, after years of investigation, expert analysis, and newly discovered accounts from witnesses and insiders, the full story has finally come into focus, and what it reveals is far from comforting. At the heart of the mystery lies the small DC-3 plane that Ricky and his band were flying in on their way to a New Year's Eve concert in Dallas, Texas. Early reports claimed that a mechanical issue, perhaps involving a broken heater or electrical short, caused a fire on board, leading to the crash near DeKalb, Texas. The plane caught fire while in the air, and while the two pilots miraculously survived, Ricky Nelson, his fiancée Helen Blair, and 5 band members died in the fire. In the wake of the disaster, rumors began to swirl, some blaming drug use, others pointing fingers at faulty maintenance, while still others speculated about sabotage or hidden foul play. For years, the cause was shrouded in official uncertainty. The National Transportation Safety Board eventually ruled that the fire started in the cabin, likely due to a malfunctioning heater, but they could not determine the exact source of ignition. Meanwhile, speculation ran wild in tabloids and among fans. Whispers of freebasing cocaine, based on rumors that drug paraphernalia had been found at the scene, fueled a darker story that many believed unfairly damaged Nelson's image. However, toxicology reports found no drugs or alcohol in Nelson's system, and no concrete evidence ever linked the fire to drug use. Still, the cloud of uncertainty lingered for decades, leaving an open wound for his family and a haunting question mark for fans. What finally brought resolution were a series of investigative breakthroughs made possible by the persistence of aviation historians, forensic analysts, and journalists who were determined to uncover the truth. Previously overlooked technical records, combined with new interviews with aviation mechanics and the surviving pilots, revealed a much clearer and more disturbing picture. The aircraft, a World War II-era Douglas DC-3, had been poorly maintained and was operating under questionable safety conditions. Despite being aware of repeated problems with the heater system, problems that had been noted and even complained about on previous flights, the plane's operators failed to address them properly. More shockingly, the heater had been jury-rigged in a way that made it a ticking time bomb, with makeshift repairs that did not follow aviation safety standards.